Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chatting with Charles. And I'm here with Brent, or as you may know him, General Admission. Hey, buddy, how are you doing?
Hey now, what's up, dude? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Looking forward to
Good.
this. So let's go ahead. Let's see, Brent. Let's see who we got in the chat with us, and say hello to all our friends that are here. And so we've got Ryan Hall, his first in, and he's like, usually Herb is the first one in chat here. And so he's kind of laying it on. Yep, I beat Herb here is where he's going. So thank you there, Ryan Hall. Followed by Big Wave Dave. And so Dave is also another one that's usually pretty quick up in the chat. And I got my guest from last week, Rob Blackmore Official.
Right on. I caught that one on replay.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun to do a show with. And of course, we got Herb of Fireside Studio saying, howdy, folks. So his grandchildren keep wearing him out. I think that's what it is.
Hey, that sounds like a great thing.
Yeah, it is a great thing. And our buddy Martin from L&M Guitar Corner is in and saying hello to everybody. Hello there, Martin. Glad to have you with us.
What's up, dude?
Martin and I are well overdue for a hang together again.
Jimmy Biter, Ben Coombs, what's happening? William De Silva, what's happening, dude?
He's like way ahead of me. So JP Page 2 has made his way in, and so has Keith H. Welcome, my friends. And William De Silva. Hello there, brother William. And hello, Ben. Hello, Patrick Trites. Welcome in, my friend.
Cheers, Patrick.
Here you go. BC Rich 581 saying, happy Sunday afternoon, everyone. Well, happy Sunday afternoon to you, buddy. And I say this all the time, Brent, but I absolutely love Time Surfing Aliens avatar here. Isn't that great? And Wayne McConnell, good morning, my friend.
It's funny.
And Jimmy Biter with a what's up. Let's see. And I think that catches us up in the chat.
Right on.
All right. So let me go ahead and take care of that. And so, Brent, how are you this morning, my friend?
I'm sorry. The first thing I just thought you were going to come out. Why can't you keep a guitar for more than 2 weeks? I thought you were going to come right out with it.
No. I did think about it though, but decided not to.
No, everything's good over here.
We'll get to your addiction later.
Yeah, no, totally.
All right. So let's start with the obligatory, right? So, how does Brent get into guitar? How do you begin this guitar journey?
I guess technically it started as a music journey because I was in love with music at a very young age, and because I think part of it is my parents used to go to these big parties their friends would hold, and I was always kind of, just put somewhere and always listening to loud music and stuff like that or whatever. And it's just always been a part of my life, and I can't imagine life without music. And my dad bought me a guitar when I was probably 11 or 12, something like that, 10, 11, 12. And I didn't get into it right away. It was a Squire Strat. And I remember I remember the first time I plugged into this little crate amp or whatever I had, and I was strumming along, and my dad got me a wah pedal, and I figured out how to use the wah pedal, and I was just like, oh, that's kind of cool. It sounds watery or whatever. And I remember the first time I turned on the distortion channel on the amp, I was like, that's how they do it. They're not like, I couldn't, like, it just finally clicked. Like, it's just the amp making the sound. I'm like, they're cheating. Like, I was like, totally like, it was like taking off, seeing behind the curtain kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was, that was when I was, 10, 11, 12 years old. And yeah, I've just been addicted to it ever since. I was buying and trading and selling guitars in high school. And, I've always been playing music, and want to keep doing it as much as I can. I've obviously gone through, spots where I haven't been playing as much, but it's always something I turn to. Music is always a part. I can't remember the last day. I don't think there's been a day I haven't listened to music. Like Jesus, you know what I mean? I can't think of a day's gone by where I didn't listen to at least one song.
Yeah, I can't picture that myself either. It's one of those
Yeah.
things where, uh, you know, our buddy Laz, you know, has this idea of music as therapy, right? And it really is. If you sit there and look at how a song can lift your spirits or help you get express a feeling that you've been having trouble doing, uh, and just kind of balance things out for you and make the world all right. You know,
Yeah.
it's amazing how that works sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, especially once you get, I think it's something you get better at as you get older, is knowing what songs to listen to, when to listen to them, to kind of help you in the right ways, you know, instead of, because I mean, when my younger self, I'd be in a bad mood and I'd listen to music that put me in a worse mood, you know, and I didn't, and it wasn't healthy. And so I figured out later on how to balance it out for, you know, when to listen to what kind of thing, and how it really changed how I listen to music in general and how the music affected me too, you know,
Yeah.
just being aware of circumstance essentially, you know.
Oh yeah, and it's great how there are certain songs that'll let you just let go of stuff, right? And just have a good time.
Yeah.
So Blackjack is saying Brent chases his avatar as often as as his guitars.
I kept the last one long enough until someone gave me trouble about it, and I was like, all right, I'll change it. I'll change it because I was telling everybody got to get a gold top now, 'cause that's what I got, and it's the best guitar.
There you go. Oh, hello there, Mitch. How you doing? Glad you made your way in.
Cheers,
Yeah.
Mitch.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying hi to Mitch. Just saying what's up.
There
But
you go.
no, I guess I'll just say that I do dig the heritage. I do dig the gold top, the look, the sound. It's really the sound that's getting me, because I'm like, it's not the most comfortable guitar I've ever played. You know,
Mhm.
like I've played guitars that are a little more ergonomic, guitars that have a little thinner neck, you know, this and that and the other. But the sound this thing produces is just, it's, there's nothing else like it. I mean, there's a reason why Les Pauls are sought after and loved, because even the company that makes them and screws them up half the time, when they get them right, they're great. Yeah, I didn't I
Yeah.
didn't want to call out Ben by name, but yeah.
Oh, he'll do it for you most of the time. You well, you want to show off that heritage a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Let me try not to knock down my camera. I took the pick guard off.
Uh-huh.
That was a controversial decision, but
Yeah, you're never gonna make everybody happy.
no. And the reason why is because I have it tuned to D standard, so it's a little heavier sounding. So I was like, yeah, I think it's a little more raw without it doesn't need the pick guard. When I tune it back up to E standard, I'll probably put the pick guard back.
Mhm.
But I really, I like the head stock design more and more.
Okay.
The guitar stays in tune, which is great. And I like the style of gold top this is. It's not, it's like a 70s style gold top. It's not like a early 50s style gold top, because those are kind of like more yellowy orange, and I like this as it's a little more subdued. I dig it. And the pickups are these signature Seth Lever pickups. They're not just the regular Seth Lever Seymour Duncan. They're actually like signed on the back. I don't know what the difference is necessarily, but they sound great.
Mm-hmm.
They sound absolutely great. And I thought about replacing the plastics with cream plastics to match everything, but I'm just like, no, this guitar is perfect as it is. I'm just going to leave it as it is and just swap the pick guard whenever I feel like it, and that'll be the change.
Well, so let me ask you something about this, because you and I were in the green room and we were talking about this, and you were talking about how you love the sound of the pickups, right? And you
Yeah.
started saying that here as well. So what is it about the sound that you're getting on these pickups that is really drawing you in?
They have a very natural and percussive sound that reminds me of a Strat almost. But obviously it's a humbucker, so it's not exactly the same, but it has some of the same characteristics of, that Stevie Ray Vaughan sound where he's just digging in and he's getting all those. It's like almost overtones or something. He's getting out of the guitar. That sound almost bigger than the note he's playing. And that's what these pickups are doing. It's like um, there's just a lot of harmonic content in there. That's just what I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's picking up a lot of the things that maybe other pickups aren't picking up. It's whatever it's doing a great job. I could demo them at the end if you want.
Well, we'll certainly find some time to do that for sure, because I know you're going to want to dig into it a little bit there. So all right, so since we love the sound of the pickups, are you working your way through all three positions?
No, not yet. I'm still stuck on the bridge and neck positions. I'm switching between those frequently. I've used the switch as a kill switch to do some stuff on my channel, just doing the goofing around. But the middle position is like kind of the magic position on a Les Paul, because there's so much you can do with it. But that's kind of why I steered away from it, because it's like I could just put it on the bridge pickup, full blast, and just rock out. Put it on the neck pickup, do some bluesy kind of licks or whatever, and just be happy, But when you get into the middle position, you get all the nuances, and there's just so much there's unlimited opportunity there with tone and how you want to balance the neck and bridge pickup together, how you want to balance the tone positions and stuff, the volume positions, and maybe that's why I haven't done it, is because that's how I think about it. It's endless options, and I get option paralysis, where it's just like, I just put it on the bridge pickup and go, But in due time, I'm starting to worry I'm going to wear these frets out. I've been playing it so much, and I'm using heavier strings. I'm worried about wear these frets out, which would be great. I want to keep a guitar long enough that I need to do a refret on
it. I love that idea. That's not a big danger with you, though.
That's not so far. Not if you go off my track record.
Here you go. All right, so between the bridge and the neck on this guitar, where are you spending more time then?
It's about split, but mostly the bridge. I would say 60-40 bridge to neck. A little more on the bridge, just because it really it's the perfect Les Paul sound. This thing, it just sounds like just rock. It sounds like rock. It sounds like rock and roll, man. And so just goofing around with that's been a lot of fun.
Here you go, JP Page 2. The Jimmy Page setting is on a Lester is the middle position, for sure.
Yeah, there's so much you could do with it.
So versatile. So Herb says, buy a Beretta Octo. No more fretting over those over which pickup to use. Love it.
I had a Beretta for a little bit.
Oh.
But part of it is I want to be able to put my hands on things and feel them and play them for myself and come to my own conclusions without being in a store environment. But also sometimes you just don't have the opportunity to play certain instruments in stores anyway. But the way I see it, if I buy something at a good enough price, I could always get my money out of it and buy something else with that money. And that's kind of how I look at it. It's like renting guitars for free almost, like I get to hang on to something for a little bit. You just got to make sure you don't screw it up, make sure you don't put a big ding in it or something, because then you're out, you screwed yourself over. But for the most part, you get out what you put in, kind of thing, if you're smart about it. If you're not buying stuff if you're buying all the brand new stuff, that's the hot shit, and some of it's going to be retain its value and some of it's not, then you're going to end up taking hits. But when you buy stuff at its lowest value and
if you're buying smart, then you can get out of it smart. It's but if you spend too much, then you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose in the end.
Yeah, and I used to do this for to make profit. I used to do this to to bring in extra money, because it was just something I knew and something I could do. But I don't do that anymore. It's more, I just try to break even and just have fun playing and just keep the stuff coming in, but not, not worried about making money with it anymore. Is this, kind of a second way to make it, or third or fourth way to make income, I should say.
Well, you've opened the door twice, so I've got to walk through it at this point. So, it's you are a one guitar at a time kind of guy here, and you fall in love with guitars over and over again, and it's like, and I remember early on when I was first getting to know you, it was, this is the greatest guitar I've ever played, and I'm never getting rid of it. And then 2 weeks later, there's another guitar in your hands, and it's gone.
Yeah.
All right, so where does this come from? What are you chasing?
I mean, I am chasing, a perfect guitar where I feel like this is an extension of myself. This is part of me. And I've gotten close. I've gotten real close. There's definitely some guitars I wish I had still. But I'm really happy with this guitar I have right now too. So, I just try to be in the moment with it, because it's like, you can only play one guitar at a time, and I'm not like sitting here playing this wishing it was a different guitar. So I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't know if I would be happier having a collection of guitars or not. I genuinely don't know. I just don't know. Because when I've had multiple guitars, it didn't do much for me. It was like, it was nice to sit there and look at them and like, look at my nice guitar. This is cool. That part of it was cool, and honestly, but when it came down to actually playing music, it was like, I always gravitated to one over the other, and it was almost like a brotherly fight. It would turn into in my head, it'd be like, that guitar, I don't like that one right now, and it's in the doghouse, so I'm playing this one all the time, and then it'd switch, and it was just like, I didn't like that dynamic. I like having my guitar, my go-to. This is the one, this is the girl, we're gonna pick her up and rock, and just, I don't know what it is about me. That's just how I am. I don't want to be a one-trick pony, but I want to have my go-to thing, that, because I think you can make, because look at a guy like Joe Satriani. He can make any sound with any guitar. Like he played Satch Boogie on a special, Les Paul special, Les Paul special.
Mm-hmm.
He played Satch Boogie on that thing, no tremolo, nothing. He got it going. So it's like, anything is possible really with any guitar. You just got to have the skills to do it. And so that's part of the charm with the gold top too. It's like kind of old school looking, but if I could shred on it, that's kind of cool too. So there's a little bit of that vibe going on. But yeah, just it's me growing up too, honestly, getting older and realizing what I like and what I don't like. And oh no. Sorry about that.
So yeah, hope everything's all right there, buddy.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, just one day I saw a gold top up on the wall at Skip's Music right here, and it was just calling to me. He's like, "Come play me." And I was like, "All right, I'll play." And I played it, and it was great.
Do you hear the voice?
Oh yeah, I do. Play me. So I asked the employee to pick, because it's obviously on the very top shelf, so I couldn't get to it. So brought it down for me, what is it, whatever they are, $3,000, and played it. I'm like, yeah, this seems great. And he's like, yeah, it's just proper. It's just a proper Les Paul. It's like, man, it's a perfect way to put it. It's just proper. And then seriously, like 2 or 3 days later, this Heritage popped up on that marketplace. That guy I was talking to, his name's Jake. Give him a shout out here, Jake Councilbaum, I think's his name, and he's on Facebook Marketplace. He's very highly rated seller, and he always has really cool stuff for really good prices. And saw this one pop up, and I was like, I'm gonna go for it, because I knew my semi hollow was worth a little bit more than what he was asking, and so I could sell it for a little bit less and make it happen quick,
Yeah.
And that's what I ended up doing, and I just that's what I like to do. That's what I have my most fun, is when I just go for something. And that's part of the fun, is just the go for it part. I don't like the chase is one thing that can get kind of annoying, But the part where you decide I'm gonna go for it, I'm gonna get it, and then you go do the chase and get it and go get the thing. That I love that part of it. That part of it's too much fun.
Yeah, I absolutely love the deal itself, right?
Yeah,
Because it's one thing that I love the guitar, and I'll only do it for a guitar that I really love. But
yeah,
I love that art of working the deal and deciding here's a price I have in my head, and can I get you there? And
yeah.
I'm patient enough to do it. So it's like I will wait. Like for example, the Gretsch behind me in the chair there. I said I'm gonna pay $350 for that guitar, and it started. The pawn shop had wanted 5 for it originally, and when it went down to 4, I was like, I was like, okay, fine. How about let's do 350? Like, no, we're never selling it for 350. And then I would literally went in there every week after that, and and they thought it was going to just like go off the shelf, right? And it's gorgeous. There's actually there's nothing wrong with it. There's not a mark on it. There's not nothing, right? So it's perfect. And
War
so
of
one day,
attrition.
and I was sitting there, I was talking to the guitar guy there, I was talking to the manager there, and so the manager says, "No way we sell this for 350. It's not happening." And so I was in the one day, and it was like close to Christmas time, and I was like, "Is he ready to take 350 for it yet?" And he's like, "Yes." And I was like,
Hell yeah,
"We didn't hesitate. We went right to the counter, and we got
yeah,
done." It was like,
absolutely, absolutely.
and so
Yeah,
we
when
did
you
it out,
price,
and
that's
so to
perfect.
sit there, to walk away from that, it's like, okay, plan made, executed exactly what I wanted. It was great. So
No, it's awesome,
that's where the
especially
thrill
like
is for me, right?
yeah. I have my luck doesn't work that way. If I find something that I want, and no matter what price it is, if I don't like, if I want it, if I don't jump on it right away, it's gone. It's gone forever. Like I remember finding this little pipe up in Tahoe. I went up to Tahoe, went to the smoke shop, and there's this little pipe at the shop. I was like, oh, I really like that. I should buy it. And I'm like, I didn't. But I went to Tahoe every weekend, and I went up there the next weekend. Just I'm like, I'm gonna go buy it, and it was gone. And it's just been the story of my life. If I don't, that maybe that's why I liked it when I find something I really want, I jump on it because it's like I just feel like if I don't do it, it won't happen, kind of thing.
All right, so with this one, were you thinking about a gold top, or did you see the picture and then you're like, oh,
It was it was wanting the gold top, and then seeing this one in particular for the price. I was just like, that just put it over the top for me because I was thinking initially because I was thinking, okay, if I wanted to get a gold top, I'd have to sell my guitar for top dollar, save a couple bucks up, and get a used Gibson for around $2,000 because that's about what they go for. 2 to 2,200 for a gold top Gibson. That's what I was going to do. And then I saw this thing popped up for under 1,700 shipped, no tax, and I was just like, I can make that happen. So,
mhm.
and I don't have to save up or do nothing. I just need to sell my guitar and I'll be there. So that's what I did.
Mhm. Well, okay, so let's try this maybe a different angle. Talk to me about that moment where you fall out of love with the guitar.
Ooh, that's a tricky one because sometimes I fall out of love really hard. Sometimes I'll one day just not even want to pick up that guitar. I'll just like this. This is not even my guitar anymore. I don't even want it. I don't know what it
I
is.
don't
Whose
know
is this
you.
thing? I don't know you. Get out of my house. Like it's really bad sometimes. But a lot of the time, it's like, hey, this is a great guitar. I made it better than what I started with. I put new pickups in it. I put new capacitors, whatever I happen to do to make the guitar better, playing perfectly, whatever, and pass it on to someone as a great guitar. I'm like, hey, man, I found a great guitar. Let someone else have a great guitar, and I'm okay with that because I love the idea of people playing music. So passing on a guitar in better condition is also a condition of me doing what I'm doing. I don't like to consume and bang up a guitar and just ruin a guitar and then pass it off, and worst case of the falling out of love.
Yeah.
The worst case was one of my carving. I had a carving is a carved top 22 fret. It was just a carved top, kind of a plain top carved top.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was digging it for a while, but yeah, one day I just was like, I want a Les Paul, and this thing's a phony. This thing's a phony Les Paul. And I just had that moment. I just like, I gotta go get a Les Paul, I guess. It was just
So it was more like an itch, right? An itch or
yeah,
something else. Yeah.
yeah. It was just like I'm telling you, guitarists call to me when I see him. I go like, ooh, that one's saying my name.
So we need to have some fun with Brent here and general admission. I'm so hard not to say octopus here.
Oh, you can say that too. I'm still that too. It's all good. No, basically, what it came down to with the name switch again. So the first name switch was because I got these tattoos and I wanted to change my name based on that.
Okay.
And then this last switch from Octo to general admission was basically because because I watch a lot of sports too, and I'm on a lot of sports streams and stuff, and no one in the sports streams would say my name because they're just like, it's too goofy, it's too weird. So they would just ignore me in the chats and stuff, and I kind of got tired of that, so I wanted to switch to something that they had acknowledged me.
So you telling me this is a whole utilitarian change in names this time?
Yeah. It's because people just weren't calling me by the name and they would just ignore me instead. And it's like, I would rather be acknowledged. Plus, when well, I did have that semi hollow recently. That's kind of a 335. It's really, after playing that semi hollow I don't like the 335 as much anymore. It's really, really warm sounding. It's not as punchy sounding. It's like really like the wood's really absorbing a lot of the noise instead of projecting it like that Kiesel was.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because it's when I started with a 335 style, and I absolutely love semi hollows, right? I just love it. But there's a big difference between a 335 and a Gretsch.
Oh yeah,
in the sound and the feel, and I found really quickly that the Gretsch was really the direction I wanted to be in.
I think that's more my style for semi hollow too. I think is the Gretsch is cool. I think the Gibsons look cool as hell. Don't get me wrong. I think they look fantastic. I'm sure they play great and all that, but yeah, that's true. Especially this one's the 2005. That's when everybody was still there, So it is from the kind of the golden age of heritage, which is great, and it's gold. I have absolutely zero complaints. It feels like a Les Paul when you play it. It sounds like a Les Paul, feels like a Les Paul, plays like a Les Paul.
Well, let's roll back on that a little bit, because one of the things you said to me, and I didn't think much about it in the green room until, or maybe you said it here when we were first showing it off. But you said, yeah, and I'm kind of digging the headstock now.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's not even like I'm
for you before where it had to be the Gibson headstock, or
yeah, totally. That was part of the look for me, was the Gibson headstock. It was part of the guitar for me for a long time. Then I think part of it, well, first of all, this thing just stays in tune, so it's allowing me to put up with this thing a lot easier. Just the fact it stays in tune. But not only put up with, but I'm genuinely starting to like it. It's not as big. It's kind of a little more sleek looking in ways, and I think it brings more attention to the body of the guitar, which is good, instead of bringing attention to the headstock. But I still like the Gibson headstock. I still do. Still think it's good. I don't, I'm not one to just, totally poo-poo a guitar because of the headstock. Actually, I don't know if I should say that or not, because I still have yet to find one of the like early 2000s Epiphones that I like. Those, a lot of those cheaper Epiphones, and so I had a hard time with those, and so the headstock became ugly to me. I don't think it's actually that ugly of a headstock, but I think it's just because so many guitars I played with that headstock I didn't like, so it just worked out that way.
Well, for someone like you that kind of cycles through guitars, right?
Yeah.
So once you get your hands on one, what is it that you are truly looking for?
First of all, the feel of the neck is the number one thing. But also the weight of it too. First thing when I grab it is I'm gonna feel how heavy it is, and if I'm gonna, for the style of guitar, am I gonna be able to put up with how heavy it is? Because I'll allow for a Les Paul to be almost 9.5 pounds, which this is. I'd be okay with that. And I had a 7-string that was 10 pounds, and I was okay with that because it was a carved top and it was a walnut body, and there's things about it that were really gaudy, but I really liked it, at the same time.
Right.
And that was why I got rid of it, because it was such a gaudy guitar. I'm like, I can't play this out. It's cool to have at home and stuff, but I mean, going and actually playing in a band with this thing, I'd feel like a goofball, So I moved on from that guitar. So there's always a reason, and like I said, I don't really miss too many guitars, so I feel like a lot of the times I'm making the right decisions. It's just I mean, maybe you could say I should have just put more thought into it in the first place, and maybe I should have bought this 5 years ago instead. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I had fun along the way, so it's all good.
All right, so let's kind of take a step back and think about this for a minute here.
I love SGs, L&M, Martin.
Consider an SG, yep.
I love SGs. I've had a couple. I would like to have another one. I was really close to getting an SG instead of this, but I'm glad I got this. But I can see myself getting an SG.
So is there, in all these guitars you've kind of cycled through, is there one that you're like, I wish I had never gotten rid of that one?
Yeah, but that was a long time ago. There's 2 guitars I regret getting rid of, and they were both ESPs. This is before I was on YouTube. I was a chef down in LA and a chef in Tahoe in back-to-back years. And when I was in LA, no joke, I sold a Kirk Hammett signature ESP, like the Kirk Hammett signature ESP that everyone knows, the one that the skull inlays and all that stuff, for like $700 to some guy, because that was just the market at the time. And those things go for like $3,000 now. So that was one I just, for monetary reasons, wish I didn't sell, but I didn't have any attachment to it. And then I had another ESP when I was up in Tahoe. I traded in the Guitar Center for like $500 because I needed to pay rent, and so that went away that way. So I just, one thing or another.
So it's more about the circumstances of how those 2 left.
Yeah, that was. But also when I was down in LA, I could have kept the guitar. I was just dedicated to what I was doing, so I didn't. It was like, why keep this guitar? I could get some money and spend it, But it was just like, it was a dumb move at the time, really.
So going back to the idea of SGs, because when Martin brought up the SGs, then Ben came back with, I love SGs that don't neck dive, right? And so Martin is responding with, the access is just amazing on SGs, but as Ben says, you need to find one that doesn't dive. And so, and you were just talking about how maybe you might like to have an SG, right? So
yeah, they're nice and light. That's what I like about them. They're really light and they're easy to play. They're usually really comfortable. Yeah, I dig an SG. I like an SG. Can't replace the sound of a Les Paul, in my opinion, but it's good. It's a good sound that they make, though, too. It's nice and barky and usually pretty mid-rangey, and I like it.
And I think I'm going to keep coming back to this topic for a while, because it's about, most of us, tend to have more than a few, right? And you are just kind of fixated on I want the one at a time, on that. So when you're coming up on this period of transition from one guitar to another, is it usually kind of maybe a slow process, or is it like immediate? Does it just flip
No, it's pretty
switch
quick.
with it?
It's pretty quick because it's like as soon as I realize I don't want something, it needs to go. Like it's time to go because I decided it's time to go. Just it's one of those things where one day I just, like I said, I'll look at the guitar and it's like, this is not mine anymore. I don't know whose it is, but I'm gonna find whose it is. I'm gonna figure it out. So yeah, and truthfully, I feel like my amp right now is mine, which is great. It's just a little Blues Junior, but I love it. The thing sounds great, and I got a delay pedal that I really like right now that I'm digging. My Boss RC10 that I've been rocking for. Actually, that's the pedal I've stuck with longest. Probably had that for over a year.
Well, that was a thing because it was the same thing. It seemed to be the same thing with gear, with the rest of your gear as well, right? Like I remember when you got the 2 Rock,
Yeah,
and it was like, this is the best amp ever. It's never going to go anywhere. And all of a sudden, this Paul Reed Smith amp showed up. I'm like, hold on, what happened?
yeah. Well, that one I maybe just didn't present it the right way because I essentially bought that amp to sell
Mm-hmm.
because I was into that because I traded a rock reverb for it, and I was only into that rock reverb for like 800, $900, something like that. And so I traded it for that 2 Rock and then sold the 2 Rock for like $3,000, so it was just like, it was one of those deals that worked out that way. And I don't miss that one either. It wasn't loud enough. I like this. I like how loud this little Blues Junior is. It's louder than that 50-watt 2 Rock was. But I
Really?
think, yeah, but I think it's only because of the way that 2 Rock was designed. I just don't think it was designed to be loud. It's supposed to be a crystal clear, clean amp, and it did that. But yeah, like I said, when I turned it up all the way, I felt like it's not even loud. I didn't feel like it was loud. So, and I found that with a few amp companies, like Supro amps, the new ones, especially after they moved to new management and all that. They're quiet. They sound really, really good, though. They sound really good, but they're quiet. If you try to play one with a drummer, you won't keep up, especially a heavy-handed drummer. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like something that's why I ended up selling the Supro I had, because I like the Supro sound. I like it, but when it comes down to it, it's just not loud enough.
All right. So your current rig is okay. So you got the Blues Junior going, and what's going into it?
I got a Keeley mini compressor, the little tiny mini compressor. I'm using a JHS Univibe. It's the Unicorn version 2. I have a Keeley Noble Screamer. There's the Nobles and Nobles RDR1 and Tube Screamer in one. Then my Peterson Mini HD tuner, and then the JHS Lucky, or what is it called? The Pink Panther pedal. I got that one as my delay, and then I have the Boss RC10, but I'm not plugged into that right now.
Okay.
But that's the board. Kind of simple, but it sounded good. I did buy a LPD 87, or no, LPD 78. Which one did I buy? Was it 60? They're all numbers. I can't remember them. I bought the lowest number one, 68 or something like that.
Oh, yeah, the 68 is the Flexi, right? So
Yeah, that's the one I bought, the LPD 68, just the standard one, not the deluxe. So I have that coming in next week.
So Martin says the Blues Juniors are extremely loud, but the one Lucas had always sounded boxy. Changing the original speaker for a greenback did help, but not entirely. Sitting, just changing your position relative to the amp. Amp by 50 centimeters completely changed the sound in the room.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. This one is the Tweed version, so I'm not sure. I feel like the Tweed version is slightly different than the standard Black Tolex one.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a preamp difference or just a speaker difference, I'm not sure. I feel like they're different, but the Keeley Darkside pedal's cool.
Yeah.
the trick to those pedals is to make sure you use enough volume, because sometimes people are like, it's not that loud. It's like, well, there's a volume knob. Turn the volume knob up. It's like, it's kind of funny because like I've seen people like test the fuzz online. They're like, oh, it sounds good, but it's not loud enough. It's like, dude, there's a level knob. Turn that up. You're set. It's just, but I get it. You know, when you first see a pedal and there's 10 knobs on it, you don't know which one to turn. I get that.
Well, and you forget, you turn this one and it's like, okay, I had it here. And then you go back. It's like, okay, you need to figure out how these all work together.
Yeah.
But so like Martin's saying, if you move the amp, it really changes the sound in the room.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And unless you're just playing it really, really loud and clean, then you get to a certain level of volume where it kind of just does its own thing. It just has its own sound, which you can maybe describe as boxy or not, but it's so loud that it doesn't feel boxy because it fills the room.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to certain, it's like the level thresholds. Like once you get to a certain threshold, like this certain volume, it'll sound really boxy, and then you get on the other side of it, and it almost opens up a little bit because it has an open back cabinet. I think once you get to a certain volume, it breathes a little more.
Mm-hmm.
But there are, but especially at low volumes, if you're standing on the side of the amp, it just sounds completely dark. It doesn't sound like there's any top end, and then you stand in front of it, and there's all the top end. So that is one thing about it. The top end is really unidirectional.
All right. So what would you say is your favorite thing about that amp?
I like how loud it is because I have confidence that it'll keep up with the drummer. I have confidence that if I bring it to a show and the drummer's like, "Hey, we need you to turn up," that I'll have more to turn up if I need to. There's some amps I've had in the past that are 15-watt amps that I don't feel confident doing that. Like even the Orange Rocker 15, like I had confidence when that thing's rocking that it'll keep up with the drummer when it's cranked, but when it's just trying to play some clean stuff, it wouldn't do it. And so this has a better shot at doing that. But okay, to your question, my favorite part about it is the crank sound when you have the volume all the way cranked, and then you have the master volume set where you want, put an overdrive pedal in front of that, you're in Rock City, and that's what I love most about it.
There you go. All right.
Just it sounds like it sounds like tweed rock and roll. Sounds great.
So you and I were talking in the green room, and the one thing that everyone's going to want to hear is looks like we're going to be going to a return for you doing streams again.
Yeah, I do want to start doing streams again. I've tried to do some recently, and I plan to do one maybe today, but Sundays are usually pretty busy for streamers, so maybe I'll just switch it to tomorrow or something, or Tuesday or something like that. Just I don't want to be going live at the same time other people are, even if I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. It just feels weird,
Right.
especially if it's someone I know. So yeah, I want to start doing more live streams. What I'm going to start doing is doing more looping jams where I get a jam track going via my RC10 looper and just get some drums going with that, get a nice rhythm down, and jam over the top of that and do that until it gets boring, and make up a new loop and do it again, just kind of play some music for you guys. That's kind of what Larry Mitchell does. Obviously, Larry Mitchell's a much better guitar player than me, but that's kind of what his live streams are, just live playing music and rocking out. So that's what I want to start doing more of.
Awesome.
Thanks, Charles.
Oh no, I meant to do that before and wanted to get it up while I was thinking about it. So we've just put General Mission's YouTube channel in the chat. So if for some strange reason you haven't been over there, go check it out. Always some phenomenal playing going on there. I'm really excited about the return of the streams. I've been missing them. So,
well, thanks, man. Yeah, I'll definitely start doing more of those.
Any
You know,
idea when those are gonna go ahead and start back up?
this week for sure, I'm gonna be doing a live this week sometime. I want to start doing it weekly again. I want to start doing it like every Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that.
Excellent. Yeah, and so we're gonna be doing that with the looper on and some other things and some tracks, and so just more of kind of like a jam, right?
Yeah, I've already got maybe 6 or 7 ideas in the already loaded up in the RC10 for different loops that can last anywhere from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, depending on where I want to go with it and how I want to change it up along the way.
Mhm.
Um, and so this what I have right now is probably enough to last me the first episode or so. And then I'm gonna just on my own time try to come up with different riffs to jam over and essentially present them to class on my show and see what everybody thinks.
Well, you definitely have Ryan's support here.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Yeah, no, for sure. I'll let you know, Ryan. I'll let you know when I'm going live.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a guitar full on guitar addict, that's for sure. I love guitar, and sometimes I'm surprised I don't get sick of it. Honestly, there's like I'm honestly sometimes shocked at myself. Like, man, how are you not sick of this thing yet? And I don't know. I'm not. I'm not. It's great.
Well, when you're sitting down and you're trying to figure out whether that particular guitar is you or not, right? And so you kind of talked about the feel of the guitar, how the neck feels, but do you have like a set kind of a set idea, a set riff or set of riffs that you want to play on it to see if it's going to do what you want it to do?
Mm, no, not a set riff or anything, but I would say there's a couple scales that I use that I'll just jam on every time I pick up a guitar. Just first time I pick it up, just kind of jam on a couple major scales, blues, pentatonic scales, and just kind of dance between those. And that's a lot of what I'll do when I first pick up a guitar is just kind of dance between the majors and minors of a certain key and just always trying to create something creative out of something that's kind of maybe boring,
Hmm.
you know, kind of like a boring scale that wouldn't be any good on its own, but try to make something out of it that sounds good, Um, I'm always trying to just stumble onto things, you know what I mean? I'm trying to just stumble onto the next good idea, by just playing so many notes in so many different ways that eventually one of them is like, "Ooh, that sounds good," and go with that. But yeah, when I first pick up a guitar, man, it's like there's so many different things about. It's like, well, what guitar are you talking about? It depends on what guitar it is, because like a guitar that's really my unicorn right now is a Gibson Les Paul custom, but it was a lemon burst custom
Hmm.
with the access heel joint, so it had like the sculpted heel joint,
Right.
but it had a regular uh tunematic bridge. I found that it was a made to measure guitar that was at Real Guitars in San Francisco. I played it and I was like, man, I gotta have that. I was like ready to bring in all my stuff. I was gonna trade in everything I had just to get this one guitar. And I called the guy the next day and he's like, "Oh, it sold yesterday, actually, after you left." I was like, "You gotta be kidding me." I told you it's the story of my life. That stuff
Yeah.
happens. So like as soon as I left the shop, he's like, "Yeah, look, it sold later that day. Like we were there at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they closed at what 7. So
Mhm.
in between that time, it sold. It's like, dang. So like, yeah, I was gonna try to scrounge up $4,000 for that guitar somehow.
There is a guitar that kind of haunts me that way. There was a Les Paul style Gretsch, right?
Oh,
Cadillac
okay.
green. There's a whole video up on it on my channel, right? And the guitar was up on the wall for 297.
Okay.
I didn't want to pay any more than 280. And and so the difference of a day. I came, just the second day, I was like, okay, fine. If I can get it within within I'll go. If I can get what I want for my gear, then that I'm going to trade in for it, then I'll get it. And I sit there, I went
Yeah.
on, and I walked in and I looked up at the used wall at the guitar store, and it's not there anymore. Like crap. And I asked,
It's
and
the
they're like,
worst.
so
You
where is it?
panic.
It's like, oh, we sold that half an hour ago. And I have not found that same guitar since.
And a
Not
part of me, I know it's
not
not.
at even not even at that 297 price, which was unheard of, like, at that point, right? I was
I was
being
gonna
like
say, yeah, that's a
overly
good
cheap.
price. Yeah.
It was perfect price for it. But now, you don't see that guitar for less than 350, 400.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of haunts me a little bit. Yeah, Bo is
So what about you? What is something you look for in a guitar? Like when you pick up a guitar, do you have a go-to strum riff or finger picking style? Do you need a pick? Like,
I don't necessarily need a pick. Um I will run through the chords G, E minor, C, and D.
yeah,
And if it does that thing, it's gonna do. And if it does that thing, and the other thing I'm looking, so I want to hear how those chords sound and how they're gonna ring out. And does
I
that
will.
guitar have a natural sustain to it?
Now that you mention that, I do use the G chord a lot for that. When I first pick it, just see how it rings out, just to see what kind of noise I'm working with here, because that's the chord that rings out more than anything, really, is that G chord. So that
Okay,
is something I do go to with that. That's for sure.
and it's something about that G chord. I can always tell if a guitar is in tune or not.
Yeah,
The G
yeah.
chord, right?
I'm
It's
the same way. Yeah, I use that chord for that kind of stuff for sure.
But it's, I want to hear how it's going to sound running through those chords, because those are the ones that when I'm trying to just, like you said, I'm experimenting and I'm trying to find different ways of doing things, I will run through those chords. And so if those chords sound right on that thing, on the guitar to me, and but more importantly, does it ring out right?
Yeah,
Does it have this natural resonance to it as a guitar?
yeah,
Because that if an electric guitar is going to do that, then it's going to sound great through an amp.
yeah,
But if it just sounds dead that way, you're guessing what it's going to sound
yeah.
like through an amp, right?
And there's some exceptions, but not many. I mean, I remember playing a Les Paul that it sang when you played it acoustically. It was just singing, and then the pickups were horrible, and that it just happened to be a bad set of pickups. But shit, so that happens sometimes.
Well, see, that's the thing though. With that's something you can fix with pickups,
Oh,
right?
totally, easily,
But
easy, easy.
if it doesn't sustain, if it doesn't ring out on its own,
Can't fix that.
you can't fix that, right? And so, not
Not in any
afraid of changing out.
reliable way, anyway. I mean, you
Yeah,
got to do some changes and hope it works.
exactly. But no, I mean, I don't mind a thicker neck. But I don't mind a thinner neck. So neck profile doesn't seem to bother me too much. I do kind of like uh, I've learned that it's kind of really weird, because I usually play Telecasters, right? And so so you're looking at the 9.5-inch radius, right? And it's just, and that feels right to me. But oh my god, the telly that I built from parts, it has the Chris Shiflick neck on it, which is something like a 12-inch radius, and which is really it's. I know that when I go back and forth between my tellies, I play better on that one than I do on the 9.5s.
Really
Yeah.
interesting, because I find myself playing better on a flatter radius too, but I find myself liking 12 the best. Like to say the semi hollow I had a 14-inch radius, and playability wise, it was great. It played great. I felt great. I loved everything about it. But my preference is a 12-inch, and I don't know why. I prefer a 12-inch radius. The feel of it with chords, with everything, it just feels like maybe it's just because I grew up playing a Strat that had a probably 9.5, and so 14 is probably just too much of a departure. I don't know, but I really find myself preferring the 12 because I've done that before with that Carvin that I fell out of love with. I was also a 14-inch radius and traded it for a 12-inch radius guitar. So I've done that twice.
But I don't know. It is so it's one of those things where I think maybe that's why I love so many of the semi hollows anyway, because they tend to be 10 or 12-inch radiuses.
Yeah, and Eric Johnson, that's what he played 12-inch radiuses on his Strats. So that's his thing.
But but to me it's more about, does that guitar make a sound on its own without an amp, right? Does it do, if it does that, then I'll be happy.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's supposed to be an instrument, so is it playing the part of an instrument? I mean, honestly, because if it's sitting there and just sounding like a turd, it's like, well, that's a turd then.
And that's the thing, though. It's all, it's what inspires you as a player, right? It's different for each and every one of us. That's why you have this argument between Strats and Tellys and Les Pauls and Ibanez, if you want to go all that that kind of far with the wizard necks and and everything, right? But you find what gives you your voice. Ben, 12-inch radius makes it feel like a Les Paul. So, Brett, what else do you want to accomplish on your guitar journey? What are the things that you're working on just for yourself?
I'm just trying to get better. I want to get to the point where I could play with just about anybody. I want to get to the point where I'm as comfortable, like going on these shows. Like, I'm pretty comfortable now. When I first started, I was all nervous and shaking and, fidgeting and wondering about what I should say and this and that and the other, worried so much about stuff. And now it's just kind of, it just is, I just let it go, and that's where I want to get to with music. It's just being able to go to a show, get up on an open mic and jam out, have fun, be able to pick up with a band and just jam with them, have a good time, and eventually, have a band and have some guys I play with regularly and make it a regular thing where I'm not just, doing solo stuff. Because as fun as it is, it's, music's about the community aspect and sharing it and working together and that kind of thing too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. There's nothing like playing with other folks. And I'm hoping to get a whole lot better really quick so that I can go do that.
This takes practice. I realized the other day when I was practicing, I'm like, this is the first time I've actually practiced in a while. Like, normally I'm just playing for fun. I'm just having a good time, just having fun. And the other day was the first time I was like, I'm actually practicing right now. Like, I'm actually trying to get better. And so I need to have that mental switch ready to go when I'm like, not just goofing around, but actually, like, I need to try to get better so I can get where I want to go,
And that's the other thing, where you start off practicing and then you just start rolling into playing all the stuff that right?
All of a sudden you're playing Heartbreaker, just rocking out. It's like, oh yeah, I was supposed to be doing my scales.
All right, so what were you working on the other day when you were practicing?
A lot of scale work, because my fingers are just not working the way that I wanted them to. Like, every time I was doing something, it didn't feel fluid and I was just not feeling right. So I just did a bunch of scale exercises and stretching my fingers a little bit here and there too. And mostly just scale exercises, though. That's a lot of what I'll do. Because the chord stuff, like, if I were a rhythm player, like if I were a guy that was going to rely on my rhythm playing, I would practice my chords a lot more. But a lot of the time when I lay down a rhythm, I just lay it down once and then I'm jamming for a while. So it's like, you just have to do it one time as opposed to for a whole concert or something. So
right,
just doing it for, the little bit that I do is fine. I don't have to work on it that hard, but I would like to do more of that, because honestly, it'd be interesting, but I don't know. Like, some people have chord progression style, like exercises they do, and I don't know any of those. I would have to kind of create my own or find some online or something like that. but I know a lot of scale exercises, so I just do those most of the time.
There you go. Well, Brett, we've reached the end of our time together. This has been a lot of fun, and I want to thank you for coming on.
Hour flew by.
I know it just really did. I looked down, I was like, oh, it's that time.
Well, thanks to everybody for showing up and hanging out. I appreciate it. It was great to be on the show, Charles. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh no, it was absolutely my pleasure. I really enjoyed it. We're gonna have, again, I say this, all the time, but we're gonna have to do it again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
But thank you so much for coming on, everyone. Thank you for being here. Just a couple things. Remember, Music Therapy Laz is on next.
Yeah.
Over, I believe, later on today, Charles Green is going to be on, I think, at 1 p.m. Central. So that would be 2 p.m. Eastern. And Ryan and the guys are going to be on their jam at later this afternoon around 4 o'clock, or I think it's 4 o'clock my time in Central. And John Deshae is going to be Ben Coombs. You got Pete Thorne after that, and Pete Thorne will be on during the day too as well. And Ben Coombs' guest tonight is going to be John Deshae. So
cool.
Should be a great Sunday all around on YouTube.
Yeah, totally.
All right, folks, you guys have a great day. And we will see you next week. We'll see you, and of course, we'll see you in the chats and everything else as well. And Brett, you stay on with me, and we'll talk a little bit here.
Sounds good. You guys take care, everybody. Thanks again.
Everyone, have a great day.